This is not an illusion. This is very real. In the words of one of my all-time favorite rappers, guess who's back? Back again. That's right, we are back. Welcome back to Body of AK, everybody. I am AK Wright, a writing sculptor, sculpting writer, or whatevs. We are jumping right back into my channel. I have been gone way too long, and I want to make every ounce of today's video worth it. We are making a war bug today. Let's have some fun, everybody. Inside my mind. Alright, season 2, let's go! It's time to get started with that prep work, everyone. As always, I'll be using aluminum wire wrapped with aluminum foil and Super Sculpted Ultralight to format my armature, which I've done off camera. I'm also going to make a head today using glass cabochons, which I custom painted. It's on a smaller scale, so it'll be aluminum foil wrapped with Super Sculpted Ultralight and the eyes positioned to my liking. I'm going to insert 2 wires of aluminum foil, which are going to be tentacles down the line. They won't be this long at the end of the video, small spoiler. I want this creature today to have a very long neck, so I'm inserting a wire there, pushing it in, and I'm going to bake all of this for about 20 minutes in my oven. And then when we get back, we're going to go ahead and get started right into our sculpting time with a new medium, which is Super Sculpted Living Doll. If you've been following me on Instagram the last few months, you'll see that I have been using Living Doll for a lot of my personal projects. I love everything about this product as well, and this is not sponsored, this is just my honest feelings. I have been using Super Sculpted Original for the better part of the last 3 years. I just wanted to make a change, so I'm using this. It is such an amazing product. It's everything Original is. As far as that, it's almost like it's a Pokemon that evolved. It holds detail amazing, it holds shape amazing. When you bake it, it doesn't have any form of cracking as long as you have it set appropriately. I love everything about it, and I definitely would recommend. Once we get the neck and his legs detailed out and bulked out appropriately, I bulk out his arms with Super Sculpted Ultralight, and then I make claws and fangs using Super Sculpted Primo in black. For his feet, I made 6 very long claws, and because I want them to be somewhat more bulked out, I do take some more ultralight and form out the calves and the lower extremities. I make some indents where the claws are going to be, and I get them pushed in. So we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of today's detailing. Meaning I'm going to take ropes of clay of that living doll and use it to accentuate certain parts of my friend's new body. While I'm doing this, let me go ahead and try to make any form of account for where I've been these last couple months. I'll start out with a super vague statement right off the bat. Mental health and tech issues make Abdul a very dull boy. So, without getting too personal, I did have some personal matters that I had to tend to that basically took me out of my creative hole for the better part of the last few months. On top of all of that, I did have severe technical issues with my previous workstation that I used to edit the videos that you do see. I pretty much had no way around it, but thankfully I have amazing people in my life that help me not only with my mental abilities and mental health, have it be stronger, but they also help me get some new equipment so I can get back to doing these videos for you guys. I am beyond thankful for them. I also want to do a shout out to all of you who have reached out to me, whether it's on Instagram or my personal email that you found. I really appreciate all the support, all the check-ins. It really meant a lot to me. But don't worry, we are back. We're going to have a lot of fun moving forward. And it's going to be great, I promise. Until my next time I disappear. Just kidding. So as you saw while I was blabbering away, I made a whole bunch of variations of spikes to go with my warbug. I'm putting the larger ones in his back with some indents, and I'm doing the smaller indents for his neck. My warbug, I want this to be a creature that lives for the thrill of competition, combat, the hunt, anything that involves taking down opponents, leaving people beat up, all of the above. So I wanted that to really definitely be in his portrayal, and I thought spikes all across his back, his forearms, and along the sides of his neck, and later on his head, I felt that that would really set the picture. So I made a whole bunch of these. I actually have some extra that I might use in a future project down the line, you never know. And I really think this came out well. I hope you all like it too. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. With the bulk of the spikes now in place, let's just start focus and detail this guy's head. Once I'm comfortable with the head, I go ahead and lock it in place, and then I extend his brow bone to give it a more volatile, evil look. This is normally when I would say something like, "Oh, you wouldn't want to meet him in a dark alley." But honestly, do you ever want to meet anyone in the dark alley, let alone a creature? I just feel it's an antiquated phrase, so I'm going to try to work on not saying it as much. Anyway, so I'm continuing adding the spikes to the head to complete the look, and then we'll move on to our next steps. Our warbug is going to need some very large mallets to combat with, so I'm taking balls of living doll clay, shaping them out to be palms, and inserting 4 wires of armature to go ahead and go inside. And then while these are baking, let me introduce you to my new sculpting tools that are self-made. I followed a tutorial from north of the border and made my own, and my goodness, are these going to save me a lot of time. Before anyone gets concerned, yes, I still have the Sculpted. He is very secure. It's going to be very much utilized in the future, but I felt like he was having a lot of the workload, so I wanted to add to the team. If you're interested on how to make tools like these, I'm going to include North of the Border's video in the description. I highly encourage you to check it out. Once the legs are detailed to my liking, I focus on the palms. Each palm will have 1 rope of a living doll clay wrapped around each finger, and 1 piece of Super Sculpted Primo and translucent to be the claws. Hands now detailed, we go ahead and lock them in place with aluminum foil and another layer of living doll clay. I then take 3 solid breaths and I tell myself it will be okay. What I mean is I use a different color clay, which is the Super Sculpted yellow, to add contrast to the piece. Now the reason I'm using this is because I did want to use yellow in some capacity, and I know yellow normally, even with the airbrush, is a harder color to paint. I will fully admit I had a lot of trepidations at this moment in the sculpt, but it does work out at the end, I absolutely promise. Let's go ahead and trim them horns now, and we're going to use Super Sculpted Primo in black again to put those on, and then we will move on to the final steps. And now fully baked out the oven and cooled, it's time to paint. Today we're going to use acrylic inks from Dollar Rounty for today's piece. I mix them all in my mixing cup, and I start with a base layer of crimson. Then I will be adding here momentarily some flame orange. Once this is blended in, I add a few drops of indigo, followed by a few dabs of black. And then once I mix in the airbrush medium and a few dabs of airbrush thinner so it doesn't clog, we blend it all together and we get my base coat of brown, which is what I was hoping for. We load up our airbrush and we jump right into painting. At this point, I'm pretty comfortable with the color, so I'm going to go ahead and now go through different areas and accentuate or detail with black. What I mean by detail is just to add dimension, so around his underarms, around his leg area, his bone brow area will get black. The yellow will get a very thin coating of black, and the reason I'm doing it that way is I just don't want it to be as bright as the other piece, and it also helps bring everything linear and more universal versus just one color outweighing the other. Once I paint inside the mouth and add some final detailing on the tongue, believe it or not, we are not done. So the piece is very top heavy. I did not account for this entire time. Everything looks right. However, if I do touch it with any more pressure than what you're about to see, the piece will legit fall over. So I had no anticipation of making a base today, but because of this, I now have to. I start my trudge to make a base I don't want to make by balling up several mounds of aluminum foil very passive aggressively. Somehow this helped and I was able to sleep very, very well that night. Not sure why. So then I bring the ward bud back over, make the indents on the foil ball, pour in some glue where the holes are going to be, and put the ward bug back and held it there for about a minute just to make sure it wasn't going to tip over, which he doesn't. So then I take the wood block back that he was standing on and glue it to another wood block. And because I didn't want to stand and hold this for 2 minutes, because you know, I got shit to do, I took my airbrush and sprayed the areas where the glue was dripping out. It instantly hardened, so now I'm able to move on to the next part of this whole entire process that I didn't want to do, but we're passive aggressively doing it. I put more glue down on the one side, push the foil ball and my ward bug on top of it, hold it there for about a minute, and then I put more foil on top of the entire structure I have, and now it's working. It's the little things. With my mini test not complete, it's time for me to utilize my second favorite product in the universe, Plaster of Paris. Now some people call it Plaster of Paris, some call it Plaster of Paris. I admittedly am not sure which one is the right one. If you know, let me know in the comments. For today's base, I take half a cup of plaster, Mod Podge top coat, acrylic ink and indigo, then metallic in copper, gray, and blue, with a half cup of water, and we blend it all together. For a normal batch, you have about 10 to 15 minutes of working time, and it will harden in 30 minutes. Just be cautious of your time if you are in a hurry. Before the plaster hardens, I'm going to take these little mini balls that you can make a necklace with, and I'm going to place them all over the piece. I wanted there to be an other dimensional feel, somewhat alien-like with this, and I thought this was a very cheap and effective way to do that. So I'm going to push some of those in, Also, I'm going to use some extra plaster that I had from past projects, and I'm also going to position them to add just a more terrain feel to it. Once everything is hardened and in place, I'll go ahead and add some shadows with black around the feet and legs, and then a very thin coat just for dimension all across the base. And now we can say we reached our moment in the spotlight. Lights, camera, and smaction. I really enjoyed how my warbird came out. I hope you all did as well. And moreover, welcome back everyone, I really missed all of you. If you're new here and you do like today's content, feel free to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and set bell notifications for future updates. And I do mean future updates. I am fully engrossed in my projects again. I'm actually working on the next one as I was finishing this one. So, as always, thank you all for the support. Thank you all for your well wishes. I am back. I hope you all stay loved and stay blessed. I will see you all next week. See ya, everybody. Inside my